Okay, welcome back everyone. This is the Delta Workbook. It's Mr. Australia here, and this is lesson 6. And today we're calculating the surface area of a cylinder. If you haven't done so already, just pause the video and have a go at doing our questions. Okay, firstly, we're factorising this expression, so we need to take the highest common factor out of all parts of the expression. That's going to be 50, so we take that outside the bracket. Now, 50 times what gives me 100, 50 times 2, so 50 times 2x will give me 100x. Then what do I multiply 50 by to get negative 50? It's got to be negative 1. Okay, and you can expand that out again to check your answer. 50 times 2x, 100x, 50 times negative 1, negative 50. Number 2, we're simplifying this expression. Going to have a look at my x's first. We've got the same base x, we're multiplying them, so we need to add our powers together. 3 add 6, that will give us 9. Let's have a look at our y's now. Y on its own is the same as y to the power of 1, and we're multiplying that by y to the power of 2, so we need to add the powers together again. 1 add 2 will give you 3. Next, we've been asked to add these two decimal values together. Now, what you want to do when you're adding or subtracting large decimal numbers is start by writing the largest number on top, giving yourself lots and lots of space. 895. You then want to put all of your decimal points in first before doing any calculation, because that really helps you align your next value. Here it's 2.025. Now we're ready to add. 5 add 5, 10, carry the 1. We've got 12, carry the 1, 9, 11, carry the 1, and 2. So your final answer is going to be 21.92. We do not need zeros when they are the final values at the end of the number after your decimal point. You do not need to include those in your answer. So your final answer there is going to be 21.92. Okay, next we're adding our fractions. We've got 1/3, and we're adding 4/7. When you're adding or subtracting fractions, you need to find a common denominator first. And to do that, you multiply your denominators together. 3 times 7 gives us 21. You've multiplied the denominator by 7, you'll need to multiply the numerator by 7 as well to keep your fraction equivalent. Here, how have I got from 7 to 21? I've multiplied that by 3, so I need to do the same with my numerator as well. Your denominator stays the same, add your numerators, and you get 19/21s. You cannot simplify that any further, so that is your final answer. Okay, next we've got nth term. Looks slightly different because we've got some decimal values, but we still approach it in the exact same way. We need to think, what is going on in this sequence? Well, it's getting bigger, it's increasing, and it's increasing by 0.6 each time. So it's like we've got the 0.6 times table. That's actually the first bit of our nth term calculated. We now need to write down our 0.6 times table, and you may notice it looks very similar to your 6 times table, just with different placeholders. Now, how do we get from the 0.6 times table to the value we need in our sequence? We've subtracted 0.2. We've done that for all values in our sequence. We've subtracted 0.2, so that's going to be the final part of our nth term. Final answer, 0.6n minus 0.2. Okay, let's have a look through our example. Okay, so this is the surface area of a cylinder. First thing you want to do is to do a sketch of its net. And you can see that here. That's what they've done here. They've done a sketch of the net. Okay, once you've sketched your net, then you're ready to start labeling your dimensions. Now here, they called this dimension L. We're going to call this C. Okay, and the reason why we're going to call it C is because it's actually the same as the circumference of this circle here. If you roll that circle all the way from one end of the rectangle to the other, it would fit perfectly. And that's because that part of the rectangle is actually the same as the circumference of your circle. Okay, so you must make sure you've labeled your radius. You're going to need to label your diameter okay, because we'll need that to find the circumference. And once you've done that, then you can start finding the area of each of the faces. To find the area of a circular face, it will be pi r squared. And to find the area of the rectangular face, it will be your circumference, c, multiplied by the height of the cylinder. Okay, so to find the area of the rectangle, it's c, the circumference of the circle, multiplied by the height of the cylinder. Okay, in this example, our height here is 8. Now, once you've done that, you need to add all of your areas together. You need to add the areas of your faces together. Thing to watch out for here is that we've got 2 circular faces. So you've got 1 rectangular face, and then you've got 2 circular faces. Okay, that's why they've multiplied this by 2 here. Once you've done that, you need to find the numerical value of your answer and make sure you round it to the correct decimal places that they've asked for in the question. Now, this is a surface area, okay? Whenever you're finding areas, your units will be squared. Okay, if your radius and dimensions are in centimetres, your surface area would be centimetres squared, and so on. Right, let's have a look at some of the questions now. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. Now, I know it looks like there's a lot going on this page, so let's just break it down. The reason why I've drawn this out is because this structure will work for all of these questions here. And once you get used to it and you get into the hang of doing these things, it will become a lot simpler. So this I've started by sketching out the net here. Okay, I've sketched the net. Now in blue, I've got the radius of my circle. That's what I've got in blue. The D, the diameter, will be just double that, double whatever the radius is. C, my circumference in green, is found by doing pi multiplied by the diameter. Okay, pi multiplied by the diameter will give you your C. Your H will be given to you in the dimensions of the cylinder. That's how high it is, how far back it goes. And once you've labelled all of those, then you're ready to get going with finding your individual areas. Let's have a go at question number 1. And I'm going to start off by just labelling my dimensions. So the radius in question 1 is 1 centimetre. It's 1 centimetre. My diameter, therefore, will be double that, 2 centimetres. And to find my circumference, I need to do the diameter, 2, multiplied by pi. And that gives me the circumference. H, my height, is labelled on here as already. That's this, 6 centimetres. Okay, 6 centimetres. And I'm now ready to start labelling my diagram down here. Let's start with a rectangle. H was this bit going across the top. That was 6 centimetres. Our circumference, C, will be the other dimension of the rectangle. That's 2 pi. And then to find the area of a rectangle, we multiply the base times the height. 6 times 2, and that gives us 12 pi. Next, let's think about our circle. Now for the circle, we need our radius, which was 1 centimetre, and we need to do pi r squared. So if our radius is 1, then r squared, 1 squared, will still be 1. So pi r squared will just be 1 pi. The area of our circular face is 1 pi. We've got 2 of them though. So altogether that will be 2 pi. Rectangular face was 12 pi, so we now need to add our faces together. We had 12 pi, add 2 pi, and that leaves us with 14 pi. Okay, we've got 14 pi. So if our total surface area is 14 pi, we now need to see what its numerical value will be. So if you type in 14 multiplied by pi into your calculator, you're then going to need to press the SD button to find its numerical value. Once you do that, you get 43.982 ... Now, up here, it says the 2 decimal places, but in this question, it just asks for 1 decimal place, okay? So we're just going to round it to one decimal place here, 43.98. Okay. So let's go back, because this is slightly trickier. If we wanted one decimal place, we'd need to look at the number after that first decimal place, which is an 8. The 8 means that we're going to round that 9 up. That 9 will round to a 10, which means we'll need to carry the 1. So this is going to go to 44, and the first decimal place is just going to be a 0. All of our dimensions were in centimetres, so our total surface area will be in centimetres squared. So for question 1, it was 44.0 centimetres squared. That was for question 1. Okay. Now I'm going to have a look at question 2, and I'm going to keep the structure of my working out exactly the same. So I'm just going to rub out the individual areas. I'm going to keep the structure and my sketch exactly the same. Okay. Right, let's have a think about the next one. So I've got my net sketched. I now need to label my dimensions. Starting off with a radius R, that's 2 centimetres. Okay, we're now doing question number 2. That was 2 centimetres. My diameter, double that, 4 centimetres. My circumference will be 4 multiplied by pi, the diameter multiplied by pi. And h we've been given as well, that was also 2 centimetres. I'm now ready to label my dimensions on my rectangle. The height h was 2. My circumference, the other dimension on my rectangular face, was 4 pi. Multiply those together and we get 8 pi. I now need to think about my circular face using pi r squared. If r is 2, r squared will be 4, so pi r squared will be 4 pi. Now I've got 2 of those circular faces, so altogether they will be 8 pi. I now need to add my rectangular face, 8 pi, with my 2 circular faces, 8 pi, and that gives me equals 16 pi. I now need to find its numerical value. So I type 16 pi into my calculator, press the SD button, and then we get 50.265 ... We were asked here to round to just one decimal place, so it's going to be 50.3. They were all in centimetres, so your total surface area will be centimetres squared. So question 2, 50.3 centimetres squared. Okay, the next questions, they may be presented slightly differently, but we still need the exact same approach. Start by labelling all of your dimensions, and then you can start calculating your individual areas for your faces. Okay then, so we're now on question 3a. Let's have a look at this one. Right then, our radius, a little smaller this time, it's 1 centimetre. Our diameter will be double that, 2 centimetres. Our circumference will be that multiplied by pi, 2 pi. And our height, h, has been given to us, 4 centimetres. Now ready to label our rectangle. The height was 4 centimetres. The circumference was 2 pi. So the area of this face will be 8 pi. We now need to think about our circle. Well, our radius was 1 centimetre. So 1 squared will still be 1. And so 1 squared times pi, pi r squared, is just going to be 1 pi. Okay. Now you do not normally write the number 1 in front of a term like that, you just write pi. We need to multiply that by 2 now, because we've got 2 circular faces, so that would be 2 pi. We had 8 pi from our rectangular face, we now need to add those together. 8 pi add 2 pi gives us 10 pi. Now let's work out what that is as a number. So pressing our SD button on our calculator, we'll get 31.415 ... Now, what they've done here is they've asked us to round to, where are we? 2 decimal places, okay? So if you need to round to 2 decimal places, the minimum amount of decimal places you write out initially is 3. Because you look at the number after that second decimal place, here we've got a 5 and above, so we give that one a shove. And it will go to 31.42, and it's going to be centimetres squared there. Okay, so that was question 3A. Okay, let's have a think about our next question. 3B. As you might have noticed, we have slightly different units this time. We've gone from centimetres to metres. So we need to pay attention to that at the end of our question when we're giving our units. Okay, so we're now looking at 3B. Let's get labelling. So our radius, first of all, 3 metres. Diameter, double that, 6 metres. Your circumference is the diameter, 6 multiplied by pi. Your height was given to you, 9 metres. Now we're ready to label. Got 9 metres here, then we had 6 pi here. So to find the area of that rectangle, you need to multiply your base by height, 9 times 6, and we're going to get 54 there. But it was 6 pi, so it's going to be 54 pi. I'll just write that a bit clearer, 54 pi. Now we can think about our circular faces. And for that, we need our radius, which is 3. Our radius squared will be 9, and multiply that by pi, you got 9 pi. We've got 2 circular faces, so we'd multiply that by 2, we get 18 pi. We now need to add our rectangular face, 54 pi, with our 2 circular faces, 18 pi. And there we're going to get 72 pi. We now need to work out what 72 pi is as its numerical value. Pressing the SD button on your calculator, 72 pi, that will give you 226.194 ... And we need to round it to 2 decimal places. So we've got 226.194, and below we let that 9 go. Your original dimensions were meters, so for the area it will be meters squared. So the total surface area there for question B, 226.19 meters squared. Okay, on to the next one now, looking at question C. Now we've got different units again. This time we've got millimeters. Something else a bit different though with this question is that we haven't been given our radius. We can still find our radius. We're just going to do our labeling in a slightly different order this time. We've been given the diameter here. So the first thing that we're going to label for this question is our diameter. Okay, we're now on C. And we've been given our diameter of 8 millimeters. So to get from your diameter to your radius, you need to half that, 4 millimeters. Circumference will be 8 pi. Your height was given to you again, it was 7 millimeters. And now we're ready to label our rectangle. So we had 7 millimeters. Our circumference was 8 pi. So that's going to be 56 pi, the area of that face. 6 pi. Now thinking about our circle, we're going to need our radius for that. Our radius is 4 millimeters. So our radius squared will be 16, and our radius squared multiplied by pi will be 16 pi. So that's the area of one of the circles. We've got 2 of them though, so we'd multiply that by 2, and we got 32 pi. We now need to add all of our surface areas together to get the total. So 56 pi, add 32 pi. That gives us 88 pi. We now need to find its numerical value, so 88 pi. Press the SD button on your calculator and you get 276.460 ... We just want 2 decimal places again. So it's going to be 0.46. Our units this time were millimeters. So for the total surface area, it will be millimeters squared. And that was question C, 276.46 millimeters squared. So you've got to be very careful there when you're given different dimensions. That's why it's a really good idea to have everything written out like this, nice and clear. So you just need to label the correct position. Okay, you don't want to go labeling your radius as your diameter or vice versa. It's really important you get that labeling done first. Okay. Right then. Next question, we are on question D, 3D. Back to the radius now. We've been given our radius of 3.5 meters. Our diameter, double that, 7 meters. Your circumference will be the diameter multiplied by pi. Your height, pardon me, has been given to you, and that's 2.5. You're now ready to start labeling. We had 2.5 here. We had 7 pi here. Multiply those two together. We've got 7 pi multiplied by 2.5. That will give you 17.5. 17.5 pi. Just make that a bit clearer. 17.5 pi. Now we're thinking about our circular face. Our radius this time was 3.5. So our radius squared will be 12.25. Actually, I'll write that here. So we had 12.25, and then we need pi r squared. It'll be 12.25 pi. Write that in here, 12.25 pi. We've got 2 circular faces, so we will need 2 of those, and that will give you 24.5 pi. You're now ready to add together your different the different areas of your different faces. We had 17.5 pi plus 24.5 pi, and all together you're going to have 42 pi for your total surface area. We just need to find its numerical value now. So putting that into your calculators, pressing the SD button, and you get 131.946. We need it to 2 decimal places though. So it's going to be 131.9, and that 6 will round the 4 up to a 5. Our units were given to us in meters. So the units for our area will be meters squared, 131.95 meters squared. Okay, next question. We're having a look at question 3E. So it's been rotated, this cylinder. We've also been given a diameter again. So we need to make sure that we label that diameter first and then calculate our radius. Okay then. So our diameter was given to us first here, and that was 1.2 meters. To get from your diameter to your radius, you half it. So we get 0.6 meters. Your circumference will be your diameter multiplied by pi. And your height has been given to you. Here it's 2.8 meters. Okay, we're now ready to label. That's going to be 2.8 there. Our circumference was 1.2 pi. We're now ready to multiply these together to get the area of our rectangular face. Let's have a look. So what have we got here? We've got 1.2 pi multiplied by 2.8. That will give us 3.36 pi. Yep, just write that a bit clearer. 3.36 pi. We now need to think about the area of our circle. Our radius was 0.6. Therefore, our radius squared will be 0.36. And our radius squared multiplied by pi will be 0.36 pi. So we had here 0.36 pi. We've got 2 circular faces, so that'll be 0.72 pi. We now need to add these together. We've got 3.36 pi. That was our rectangular face. Add our 2 circular faces, 0.72 pi. And the total surface area here is going to be 4.08 pi. Okay, 4.08 0.08 pi. We now need to find its exact value. So we're going to press the SD button on our calculator and we get 12.817 ... We're rounding to 2 decimal places. So it's going to be 12.82 meters squared. Okay, 12.82 meters squared. And that was all for question E. 12.82 meters squared. Okay, moving on now. I'm going to have a look at the last question here. This is question F. You can see that all of the dimensions this time are in millimeters. And again, they've given us the diameter first. They have not given us the radius. So we must make sure that we're labeling that correctly. Okay then. So, as we said, our diameter was given to us here, 1.4 millimeters. To get our radius, we will need to halve that, divide it by 2, 0.7 millimeters. The circumference is the diameter multiplied by pi, so it's 1.4 pi. And your height has been given to you as well, 11.1 millimeters. So let's start labeling our rectangle. We also had 1.4 pi here. We're now ready to multiply those two together to find the area of the rectangular face. That's going to be 15.54 pi. Just write that out a bit clearer, 15.54 pi. We can now think about our circular face. We're going to need our radius squared. 0.7 squared will give you 0.49. So pi r squared will be 0.49 pi. Let's write that in here, 0.49 pi. We've got 2 of those though, so you'd need to multiply that by 2. Then you'd get 0.98 pi. We now need to combine all of the areas of our faces to get the total surface area. We had 5.4 pi plus 0.98 pi. And all together, we're going to get there 16.52 pi, 16.52 pi. Okay, right. We're now ready to find its numerical value. So 16.52 pi will go into a calculator. You'll press the SD button and you should get out 51.899 ... We then need to round up to 2 decimal places. So that will go to 51. The 9 will round the 8. Oh, actually, yeah, the 9 will round the 9 up, which in turn will round the 8 up. So that's going to be 51.90. All of our dimensions were millimeters, so our total surface area will be millimeters squared. And that was the final question there, 3F. If you would like any more practice, then have a go and have a look at the Hegarty activity. This was task number, just have a look. You can see that earlier on in the video there. And you can watch the video and have a go at the questions. If you want to extend yourself further, then have a go at the Corbett activity, looking at the textbook exercise or the practice questions. You can find that by searching on Corbett or from looking on your Show My Homework. And I'll see you for our next lesson.